Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning into HCMF School Programme. This is the last day we'll be doing this week, just before the bank holiday. Now, today we've got a demonstration about turntablism and an introduction to DJing with Nicole Raymond, who has kindly provided us a pre-recorded video. So yeah, sit back, hope you enjoy it. And if you've got any comments about any of the workshops that we've put online this week, we'd really like to hear them. So maybe just pop a little comment on Facebook or on YouTube. Okay, thank you and enjoy.
Hi, my name is Nicole. My artist name is Knickknack. And I'm going to do a demonstration of what I do. In front of me is a whole bunch of colourful gear and my laptop and things over here, which probably tells you that I'm a DJ of sorts. I've been DJing for over 15 years, and I've supported people like Grandmaster Flash, Akala, Princess Nokia, MJ Cole, people like that. And I've also had a radio show on the BBC. I've got radio shows on Worldwide FM and a few other places. I do lots. It's a bit hard to like truncate into one thing, but I do a lot. And the majority of my work is behind this, bit of gear, basically. I'm also what is known as a turntablist. And in really basic terms, a turntablist is someone who will creatively use the turntables, and they'll do an action called scratching, which you've probably heard of as well. Famous DJs and turntablists that do that are people like Grandmaster Flash, DJ Jazzy Jeff, and DJ Shadow. And there's some British people as well, like Mr. Switch and JFB and people like that. So I'm going to show you the kind of more well-known side of DJing and turntablism, as well as the more weird and wonderful stuff that I do as well. But all of it presides around me standing in front of this stuff. So with that in mind, I will show you some scratching. Yeah. Also, I use a bit of software called Serato, which basically means all my music is on my laptop or on my hard drive. I get the software up and running, and then I can load any track I want onto these colored vinyls. And they're essentially made of plastic, like they're not actual records. They have a code written on them, like a sine wave, that only works when you load the software. So when you have the software loaded, you've got your time-coded vinyl ready to go, you can load any song onto them without changing the vinyl. So I'll briefly show you what that looks like. So I've got this song. And we're going to go over to this deck now. So same song, and I've not changed any music, I've not changed the vinyl, but I'm going to load a different one on this one now, a different song. So yeah, without me having to like go and get another vinyl and put it on there, I've got a different song playing now on the same deck. So that's briefly what Serato does. There's another bit of software called Tractor, which basically does the same thing. But yeah, so there's that. So I'll show you what really briefly what scratching is like for me, and how I do it. I'm quite I'm quite ambidextrous. So sometimes I'll do it this way. Sometimes I'll just use one hand. Sometimes I'll cross over my hands. Kind of depends what I'm doing and what I'm more comfortable with. I tend to scratch here where my right hand, because I'm right-handed, is moving the crossfader back and forth really quickly. And my left hand is holding onto the record and moving it backwards and forwards. So I'm kind of creating patterns and melodies and rhythms with them both like that, while this turntable has the beat that I'm scratching to on it. So if we go back to an earlier beat, fairly chill beat, and I'll get that loop in actually. Ooh, tempo's wrong, hang on. That'll happen sometimes. The software will say, oh, it's definitely this speed. And then when you listen to it and try to have a loop going, it's wrong. So I had to tap in the right speed to get it to read the tempo correctly. So sometimes technology will just mess you around like then, but it's fine. It's all good. See, now it's looping how we want it to. Okay, so let me see what scratching. A little bit rusty, but there we go. Yes, so that's one kind of version of what I do. It can be like doing that while the song is kind of building up, and then just letting it play, and then I'll start kind of the DJing part of the performance of the set. So that's one example. Another thing that I do is a technique called beat juggling, where you have the same beat on both turntables and you're kind of starting and stopping them at different points, and you're moving the crossfader over at certain points too. So essentially you're physically creating the loop, and you're creating a new kind of drum beat or a new rhythm with those two beats. So if I load, let's load this track. So same one on same track now. It's a new track, but it's on both decks. I'm playing it on this deck now. So what I'm going to do is let this one play, and I'll start making my own loop. And I'm going to move the crossfader backwards and forwards and make the loop myself. You see what I mean? So like that. People can do like really creative things, like really slow down the beat and then make it into half time by going backwards and forwards and like that. I'm not there yet. That's next level. I think had I started turntablism when I was a lot younger, I'd probably be there now. But like, yeah, there's also this thing called RSI. So when you're scratching a lot, you'll get like, well, for me anyway, my wrist can start to hurt, so I need to stop for a bit. So I do it as much as I can, and then as soon as it starts to kind of feel tense and tight and a little bit painful, I have to stop. So yeah, if you decide to take this up, or you're playing another instrument and things start to hurt, that's when it's definitely you need time to take a little break, rest your muscles. Health tip. So yeah, that's basically a combination of what I do in like clubs and festivals and stuff. Like choosing the music that will fit with the situation, and then playing it, and then if I feel comfortable, doing some scratching and bits and pieces. So I'll show you a combination of the two. Actually, we can do that. So if I load another bit. Oh no, wrong way. Yeah, so we'll try and do a little bit of like DJing now to put it all together, basically, put what I've talked about all together. Dunno. So that's one, yeah, that's one example of how it would come across in a live gig setting. But another side of what I do, again, in front of all of this stuff, is the more experimental side. So I do things around kind of surround sound, turntablism, and trying to bring this world, like the DJing stuff, into sort of 3D audio, immersive sound, things like that, which is, I guess, how me and HCMF have kind of connected. Shout out to Sophie. So, she's got notes there. So in the last year, I released an album called Bashi, which is essentially a collection of sounds I recorded while I was in Turkey in 2019. Literally just took a microphone with me there and recorded sounds. And then during a live performance at the Leeds International Festival, same year, I took those sounds and put them into Serato, put them basically on these decks, and I improvised a performance. And then, yeah, eventually it led to me putting it out there and being like, this is the weird and wonderful stuff that I do. So with that, it was literally like just taking sounds from, whether it's the beach and the waves roaring and people walking by, or a local town, like a market, and finding certain moments in those sounds and turning them into something else. So what I'm going to do is load one of those tracks and just play it on its own, but I'm going to interact with it with the same track. So like how I just did the beat juggling with the two beats on the same, no, sorry. Yeah, the same track on both decks, that's what I mean. I'm going to take that same principle and apply it to the same experimental track from Bashi, and juggle and loop them and do some weird stuff there. Yeah. I'll just find it. Also, make sure that your library is organized, because mine should be, but then I operate in chaos. So even my chaos needs tidying up. Legit, it does. I'm not gonna lie. It's my chaos. Okay, so this is one track. This has some synths on it, but the majority of this was just recorded out in Turkey. So I think it was a rainy day in particular. So if we take the first part, let me make that louder. Right, so that essentially was a really rainy day. It fades in, but a really rainy day while I was out there. And there's some effects on it that I put on later. But for the most part, this is just a rainy day that I just stuck my microphone on on like the balcony of my room and just let it sit there and record everything. So I've now loaded that. So that's here. But I'm going to load that onto this deck as well. Same. So now I can essentially beat juggle, even though there isn't any beats, it's very ambient. But I could beat juggle with the two. But I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm just going to improvise something. So I'm going to let this deck play out and not loop it, but I'm going to interact with the main track with the same track, but on a different deck. And it will go like this. And I'm going to switch between them now. And now scratch on this deck. So I'm going to do it a different way now because I'm now holding onto this deck with my right hand instead of using it on the crossfader. So. And we're going to swap again. And then swap one more time. Now sometimes I will kind of go between the two and put effects on both and really mess it up. So let's see what that sounds like. And then with effects. So yeah, so I'm being more aggressive with it because there's no beats, there's no like drums or anything. So because it is just essentially noise and rain and stuff, I'm able to kind of really play around with what I'm doing. The effects add a new layer. They help me to create a new space. So it feels like you're just in, like it's raining, but it feels different. And yeah. And then sometimes what I'll do is like while I'm doing all of that, I'll also add in my Chaos Pad 2, which is kind of connected to the output of the of my setup here. That's like the last bit of the kind of signal chain. And then from there, it goes into the desk and then you can hear what's going on. So if I really wanted to mess it up even more, then I can add in the effects on my Chaos Pad, which has like delays, another reverb and more. So if we start using that in amongst all of this, we'll get a new and bigger sound. So yeah, I'll put the delay on. It's kind of a filtered delay actually. And like all I'm doing is like moving my finger, which you can kind of see it. I'm moving my finger in a circle on the pad. So that's why it's kind of going between times. So if I leave it on, like right at the top, turn the level up a bit while going in between them, it will sound even weirder. And I'll add some more effects now while I'm messing about. So that was a little demonstration into what I do. Yeah, thanks for having me.